You are about to hear a clear, practical guide that will change how you think about money and how you act with it. In the next hour, you will learn specific daily habits, mental practices, and simple routines that real people use to earn more, save smarter, and keep control of their future. You will hear honest steps to reframe limiting thoughts, build reliable systems, and take the kind of action that creates long-term results. Listen for small exercises you can use immediately, simple tracking methods that keep you motivated, and decision rules that remove guesswork when it matters most. You will feel what disciplined focus can do because this audiobook shows real moments of struggle and the exact responses that lead to progress. Expect to feel both challenged and supported because this recording asks for effort while giving clear ways to get started today. If you are tired of hoping for change and ready to train your thinking into dependable habits, this work will give you the tools and the plan. Stay with each chapter and try the short practices as you go so the ideas move from theory into daily life. By the end, you will have a practical playbook to improve income, manage risk, and protect your peace of mind. Start now and keep listening to build the mindset and the habits that make steady financial growth possible. Chapter 1. Train your mind daily to think like the wealthy. Wealth begins in the mind long before it appears in the bank. The difference between those who build wealth and those who only dream about it often comes down to a simple habit: training the mind daily to think in ways that create growth. Wealthy thinking is not a talent or a gift. It's a skill. And like every skill, it can be practiced, sharpened, and mastered. Most people go through life reacting to money instead of understanding it. They wait for paychecks, worry about bills, and believe wealth belongs only to the lucky or the talented. But the truth is different. The mind you carry shapes the life you live. If your thoughts are centered on lack, fear, or limitation, then everything you do will follow that path. If your thoughts are directed toward growth, responsibility, and opportunity, then everything you touch begins to shift toward abundance. To think like the wealthy, you must start by rebuilding your mental foundation. The wealthy don't just earn more because of opportunity. They think differently about time, risk, and learning. They see failure as information. They see money as a tool. They treat their mind as an asset. Every day, they train it. They read, reflect, make decisions, and adjust. Their growth doesn't come from chance, it comes from structure. The first step in training your mind is awareness. You can't upgrade what you don't notice. Watch the thoughts that run through your mind when you think about money. Do you feel stress, guilt, or envy? Or do you feel control, curiosity, and purpose? Every emotion you attach to money reveals how you've been trained to think. Wealthy thinking begins by replacing emotional reactions with conscious reasoning. Instead of saying, "I can't afford that," ask, "How can I afford that?" That one shift turns helplessness into problem solving. Start observing your language. Words shape the architecture of your mind. When you speak of limits, your brain finds evidence of limits. When you speak of progress, your brain begins searching for ways to create it. Each day, practice using words that move you forward. Say, "I'm learning," "I'm improving," "I'm finding a way." Over time, this changes how you think and how you act. Another critical element of training your mind is understanding the difference between consumption and creation. The average person spends hours consuming, scrolling, watching, comparing, envying, without realizing that this habit teaches the brain to be passive. The wealthy train their mind to create. They read to learn, not to escape. They spend time thinking about solutions, not gossip. They use their energy to build something valuable instead of reacting to what others are doing. To strengthen your mental focus, begin each morning with intention. Before checking your phone or turning on the news, sit in silence for a few minutes and ask yourself one question. What am I building today? This small act recenters your focus on creation instead of distraction. The mind grows strong through attention. Every time you direct your attention to what matters, you train it to ignore what doesn't. Wealthy people also see time differently. They understand that time is their most valuable resource. When you spend time, you're spending life. If you waste it, you're wasting potential. The wealthy plan their days with purpose because they understand that small actions compound over time. 1 hour spent learning each day builds mastery. 1 hour wasted each day builds regret. Begin by tracking your time. Notice where your hours go. You'll often discover that what steals your time also steals your potential. Once you see that, you can reclaim your focus. Start replacing idle habits with productive routines. Instead of endless scrolling, listen to a podcast that challenges your thinking. Instead of mindless entertainment, study a subject that can improve your career. Your brain becomes what you feed it. If you feed it junk, it weakens. If you feed it ideas, it strengthens. The wealthy also train their brain through repetition. Just as muscles grow through resistance, your mind grows through consistent effort. Reading one book won't transform your thinking, but reading for 10 minutes every day will. Writing down your goals once won't change your direction, but reviewing them daily will. Consistency builds mental clarity. It tells your brain what matters and programs it to act accordingly. When you train your brain to think like the wealthy, you stop chasing quick rewards and start valuing long-term growth. The average mind looks for instant comfort. The trained mind looks for lasting success. Each time you resist a distraction, delay an unnecessary purchase, or choose learning over entertainment, you're training your brain to prioritize discipline over comfort. Over time, this becomes who you are. One of the strongest habits of wealthy thinkers is reflection. They don't move through life blindly. They study their own behavior. At the end of each day, take 5 minutes to ask yourself what you learned, where you succeeded, and where you fell short. This practice builds awareness, and awareness builds wisdom. When you know yourself, you can guide yourself. Wealthy people understand that success is a mental equation. Mindset plus action equals results. If either part is missing, progress stops. Many people act without thinking. They rush into business, investment, or decisions without clarity. Others think endlessly but never act. Wealth requires balance. You must think deeply and act decisively. Your brain is naturally wired to conserve energy. It prefers what's familiar because it feels safe. But familiarity doesn't lead to growth. Each day, push your brain slightly beyond its comfort zone. Learn a new concept. Ask a question you usually avoid. Try something that challenges your patience or focus. This mental resistance is how you grow. The more you stretch your thinking, the stronger your decision-making becomes. Another aspect of thinking like the wealthy is emotional control. Wealthy people understand that emotions are powerful but unreliable guides. They feel fear, but don't let it stop them. They experience doubt, but don't surrender to it. They stay calm when others panic because they've trained their mind to focus on logic, not emotion. To build this skill, practice pausing before reacting. When faced with stress, breathe and ask yourself, what's the most rational response right now? This one habit can change your life. If you train your mind daily, discipline becomes natural. You won't need to force yourself to make good choices. They'll feel automatic. Your habits will start working for you instead of against you. But discipline begins with structure. Create a routine that feeds your growth. Wake up at a consistent time. Spend time each morning reviewing your goals. End each day reflecting on progress. Over time, this rhythm trains your brain to associate consistency with success. The wealthy also practice selective attention. They focus on what they can control and release what they can't. The average person wastes energy worrying about politics, gossip, or opinions. The wealthy invest that energy into learning, building, and improving. Ask yourself daily, is this within my control? If not, release it. The moment you stop fighting what you can't change, your mind becomes free to create what you can. It's also important to understand that wealth is not only financial. Thinking like the wealthy means valuing health, relationships, and peace of mind. Money amplifies your habits, it doesn't fix them. If you're careless when you're broke, you'll be careless when you're rich. If you're disciplined with little, you'll be wise with much. The goal is not just to earn more money, but to become the kind of person who can handle it wisely. To build this foundation, train your brain to appreciate what you have while working for more. Gratitude keeps ambition healthy. It prevents greed from clouding your judgment. Each morning, take a moment to name 3 things you're grateful for. This isn't sentiment, it's strategy. Gratitude rewires your brain to see abundance instead of scarcity. A mind that sees abundance makes better choices because it acts from confidence, not fear. Thinking like the wealthy also means being comfortable with learning from others. Many people reject advice because it challenges their ego. The wealthy stay humble enough to learn. They read biographies, study mentors, and observe patterns of success. If someone has achieved what you want, study how they think, not just what they do. Success leaves clues, but only open minds see them. Another essential part of training your brain is visualization. Wealthy people use mental rehearsal to program their focus. Before they achieve, they imagine success in detail. They visualize the result and the effort it takes to reach it. This process teaches the brain to recognize opportunities aligned with that vision. Spend a few minutes each day imagining your ideal financial life, what it looks like, how it feels, and what actions lead to it. Visualization alone doesn't replace effort, but it prepares your mind for it. Every action begins as a thought. When your thoughts are trained to see opportunity, your behavior naturally follows. If your mind expects success, it starts spotting chances to create it. If your mind expects failure, it unconsciously avoids progress. This is why mental training is essential. It shapes every choice you make. You can strengthen your mindset by writing affirmations that reflect who you want to become. Use short, direct statements like, I am disciplined, I am focused, I am capable of creating wealth. Repeat them daily, not as empty words, but as reminders of who you're training to be. Over time, your brain begins aligning your actions with your beliefs. To think like the wealthy, you must also change your relationship with mistakes. Most people see mistakes as proof of failure. The wealthy see them as tuition. Every wrong decision teaches something valuable if you pay attention. When something goes wrong, ask yourself what lesson is hidden inside it. This practice turns pain into growth. It keeps you moving instead of quitting. As your thinking evolves, so will your results. You'll notice that you no longer chase shortcuts. You'll stop comparing yourself to others. You'll focus on progress, not perfection. This mental shift is where real wealth begins. Because wealth is not about accumulation, it's about transformation. The more you grow, the more capable you become of creating, managing, and sustaining success. Thinking like the wealthy also involves patience. The wealthy understand that great things take time. They don't expect quick returns or instant gratification. They play the long game. They stay focused on the process because they know the process creates results. Patience is not passive, it's strategic persistence. Each day you train your mind, you're planting seeds that will eventually bear fruit. If you feel discouraged or impatient, remind yourself that growth compounds. One small improvement each day becomes massive over time. Your brain learns best through consistency, not intensity. So, don't aim for perfection. Aim for repetition. Show up daily, do the work, reflect, and improve. Every time you train your mind, you move. closer to mastery. Wealthy thinking is not about becoming someone else, it's about becoming your most capable self. It's about reclaiming control over your focus, your habits, and your destiny. You don't need to be born rich to think rich. You need to think rich to become capable of creating wealth. So, train your mind daily. Guard your thoughts like they are currency. Feed them with knowledge, strengthen them with discipline, and direct them with purpose. Each day you do this, you're not just thinking like the wealthy, you're becoming the kind of person who can create and sustain wealth naturally. Wealth begins in the quiet moments when no one is watching. It begins when you choose growth over comfort, responsibility over blame, and learning over distraction. It's not a mystery, it's a practice. And when practiced daily, it transforms not just your bank account but your life. The mind you train today will build the wealth you live tomorrow. Train it well. Chapter 2. Build strong money habits that create lasting freedom. Freedom is not the result of how much money you earn, but of how wisely you manage what you already have. True financial freedom is not a number in your account. It's a habit built over time. Strong money habits are the foundation that turns income into independence and desire into control. Most people believe they need to earn more to feel secure, but the truth is that no amount of money can save someone with weak habits. The secret is not earning more first, it's managing better now. Strong money habits start with awareness. You must know where your money goes before you can direct where it should go. Every time you spend without thinking, you weaken your financial structure. Every time you track and decide with purpose, you strengthen it. For 1 week, observe your spending without judgment. Write down every small purchase, every bill, every random expense. By the end of the week, you'll see a map of your decisions, a mirror of your values. That mirror is where your transformation begins. The wealthy understand that money is energy. It moves according to discipline. When you spend without awareness, that energy leaks. When you manage with purpose, it multiplies. The goal is not to live in restriction, but to live in control. Strong habits don't remove joy, they remove waste. They help you live better because your money finally serves your goals instead of your impulses. One of the most powerful habits you can build is paying yourself first. The moment income enters your life, a portion of it should belong to your future before any of it goes to your comfort. Set aside even a small percentage for savings or investment before you touch anything else. This single act transforms your mindset. You stop thinking like a consumer and start thinking like a builder. You begin to value your long-term stability more than short-term pleasure. Freedom grows when you automate good choices. The tension, the less emotional your financial decisions are, the stronger your results become. Automation means creating systems that move money toward your priorities without requiring constant willpower. Set up automatic transfers to savings, investment accounts, or debt repayment. Each automation is a quiet act of discipline that builds momentum over time. When habits become systems, consistency replaces effort. Wealthy people protect their focus as much as their money. They avoid lifestyle inflation, the trap of spending more each time they earn more. When income rises, they upgrade their investments, not their expenses. The average person earns a raise and buys comfort. The wealthy invest their raise and buy freedom. You must learn to separate wants from needs and choose wisely. Every dollar has a purpose, and your job is to direct it toward freedom, not validation. Budgeting is often seen as limiting, but in truth, it's empowering. A budget is not a prison, it's a plan for freedom. It tells your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. Create a simple budget that reflects your real life, not an ideal one. Include joy, entertainment, and rest, but assign limits. Balance is not about denial, it's about awareness. Once you see how your choices affect your goals, your decisions become intentional. Building strong money habits also requires emotional intelligence. Many people use money to soothe emotions, buying to feel better, spending to escape stress. This emotional spending creates temporary comfort and long-term regret. The wealthy train themselves to pause before reacting. When you feel the urge to buy something impulsively, wait 24 hours. If the desire fades, it was never a need. This simple delay rewires your brain to choose logic over emotion. Another crucial habit is tracking your progress regularly. Each month, review your financial picture: income, savings, debts, and investments. This habit builds clarity, and clarity brings confidence. You can't improve what you ignore. When you measure your results, you gain control. Celebrate progress, no matter how small. Each improvement proves that your effort matters and reinforces discipline. You must also learn to separate self-worth from net worth. Many people tie their value to their possessions, creating endless pressure to impress others. Strong money habits come from self-respect, not social comparison. Wealthy thinkers invest in what lasts: education, health, relationships, and time. They understand that a secure mind builds secure finances. When you respect yourself enough to live within your means, you stop needing validation from things. Saving alone will not create freedom. You must also learn to make your money work for you. Invest early, even if the amount is small. The act of investing teaches patience, foresight, and responsibility. The earlier you begin, the more powerful the compounding effect becomes. Don't wait for the right time. The right time is the moment you decide to take control. Start with simple, safe investments that you understand. Over time, your confidence will grow, and so will your returns. Debt management is another vital skill in building lasting freedom. Debt, when used carelessly, steals future income and limits options. Avoid debt for things that lose value quickly. If you already carry debt, face it with structure, not shame. Create a repayment plan, focusing on high-interest debts first. Every payment you make is a declaration of freedom. Each step forward restores control. One powerful practice that separates the wealthy from the struggling is delayed gratification. The ability to wait, to hold off on instant rewards for greater long-term benefits, is one of the strongest mental habits you can build. Before every purchase, ask yourself, does this move me closer to my goal or further away? When you align every decision with your larger vision, progress becomes natural. It's also essential to plan for the unexpected. Life will test your discipline with emergencies and uncertainty. A strong emergency fund acts as protection for your peace of mind. Save at least enough to cover several months of basic living expenses. Knowing you can handle the unexpected builds inner strength and prevents panic-driven decisions. Your environment plays a powerful role in shaping your habits. Surround yourself with people who value growth, not comparison. If everyone around you lives beyond their means, you'll feel pressured to do the same. But if your circle respects discipline and purpose, that mindset will influence you. Talk openly about money with those who think long-term. Learn from their habits and share your progress. Growth is faster when supported by accountability. Every strong habit begins small. You don't need to overhaul your entire life in a day. Choose one financial behavior to improve and stick to it until it becomes second nature. Small, consistent improvements create massive results over time. If you save just a little each day, avoid unnecessary purchases, and stay committed, you'll look back 1 year later and realize how much has changed. The wealth you build externally will always reflect the discipline you maintain internally. If you're careless with small amounts, you'll be careless with large ones. Every financial decision is a reflection of mindset. When you treat every dollar as a seed rather than a reward, you begin to see money differently. Each seed planted today grows into opportunity tomorrow. Building strong money habits also means being intentional about giving. Generosity builds a sense of abundance that hoarding never can. When you share wisely, whether through charity, mentorship, or helping family, you train your mind to see money as a resource, not an idol. The more you give with purpose, the more you strengthen your belief that you'll always have enough. Freedom comes when your money serves and your values instead of controlling them. When you wake up each day knowing your bills are covered, your savings are growing, and your goals are in motion, you experience a quiet confidence that no luxury can replace. That peace is the real definition of wealth. Strong money habits are not about perfection. They are about progress, discipline, and awareness. You will make mistakes, but if you learn from each one, you'll continue forward. The goal is not to live by restriction, but by purpose. Every habit you build is a step toward a life that is yours to control, not one controlled by financial pressure. The mind and money grow together. As your discipline strengthens, your freedom expands. Each time you choose awareness over impulse, planning over reaction, and consistency over chaos, you're rewriting your future. Wealth is not built in one moment of success, but through hundreds of small, steady choices that compound over years. The habits you build today determine the life you live tomorrow. Strengthen them, protect them, and practice them daily. Because when your money habits are strong, your freedom becomes unshakable. The kind of freedom that doesn't depend on luck, circumstance, or approval, but on your own mastery of choice. Chapter 3. Focus your thoughts only on growth and opportunity. The direction of your life follows the direction of your thoughts. If your mind stays focused on problems, you will always find more of them. But if your thoughts stay centered on growth and opportunity, you begin to see paths that others overlook. Growth is not just an outcome, it's a mindset. It's the daily decision to look for what can be improved instead of what's missing. Opportunity is not luck, it's awareness. It's the ability to notice chances that hide inside challenges. To build a life of abundance, you must train your attention to seek progress in every situation. Many people limit themselves, not because of lack of skill or potential, but because they focus too much on what's wrong. Their thoughts become consumed by fear, doubt, and regret. They relive mistakes, worry about the future, and constantly compare their journey to others. This mental habit blocks growth because your brain can't move forward while it's trapped in the past. To grow, you must redirect that mental energy toward learning, planning, and improving. Every moment you spend thinking about what you can't control is energy stolen from what you can build. Focusing on growth begins with a choice. Every day, your mind receives endless information, some positive, some negative. You can't control everything that enters, but you can control what stays. Guard your focus like it's your most valuable resource, because it is. What you focus on expands. If you focus on learning, you'll find teachers. If you focus on opportunity, you'll find openings. If you focus on fear, you'll find reasons to stop. The key is to feed your mind with what strengthens you and starve what weakens you. Start each day by asking yourself, what can I learn today? This question shifts your brain from survival mode to growth mode. Instead of reacting to circumstances, you begin searching for lessons and advantages. Growth is built from curiosity. The more curious you are, the more capable you become. When something goes wrong, instead of asking, why me? Ask, what can this teach me? That question alone changes your mental chemistry. It turns obstacles into opportunities and frustration into progress. People who focus on growth see problems as puzzles, not barriers. They don't waste energy complaining. They use it to solve. When something doesn't go as planned, they step back, analyze, and adjust. They don't see failure as the end. They see it as feedback. This mindset doesn't come naturally, it's developed through repetition. Each time you respond to a challenge with patience instead of panic, you strengthen the part of your mind that sees opportunity where others see defeat. The way you think also affects how you interpret others. A growth-focused person doesn't envy someone's success. They study it. They ask, what did they do differently? What can I learn from them? Envy closes the door to opportunity, but curiosity opens it. When you celebrate the success of others, you align yourself with the mindset of abundance. You stop seeing the world as a place of scarcity where someone else's win means your loss. You begin to understand that growth is unlimited. There's enough progress for everyone willing to work for it. Another way to strengthen your focus on growth is to limit exposure to negativity. The world is full of noise, complaints, distractions, gossip, and fear. Most of it adds no value to your mind. The more time you spend around negative influences, the more your thoughts begin to mirror them. Protect your focus by choosing what you allow into your mental space. Be selective with media, conversations, and environments. Fill your mind with ideas that uplift, challenge, and inspire. Growth doesn't happen in clutter, it happens in clarity. One powerful habit that builds a growth mindset is reflection. At the end of each day, review your actions and thoughts. Ask yourself what went well and what can be improved. Don't do this to criticize yourself. Do it to understand yourself. Growth requires awareness. You can't fix what you refuse to see. Reflection helps you recognize patterns, both helpful and harmful, so you can make conscious adjustments. Over time, these small reflections compound into massive personal progress. Focusing on opportunity also means learning to spot value in unexpected places. Sometimes, opportunities appear disguised as hard work or discomfort. Many people miss them because they expect opportunity to feel easy or glamorous. But real opportunities often come hidden inside problems, new responsibilities, or moments of pressure. If you develop the discipline to look deeper, you'll notice that every challenge holds a doorway to something greater. The question is whether you're willing to open it. Train your brain to replace complaints with constructive questions. When you find yourself saying, "This is too hard," shift to, "What can make this easier?" When you think, "I don't know how," change it to, "Where can I learn how?" The brain follows the direction of your questions. Negative questions keep you stuck. Solution-based questions move you forward. Growth-focused people have trained themselves to think in solutions automatically. That's why they progress faster. They waste no time in mental resistance. Another essential part of focusing on growth is setting goals that stretch you. When your goals are too comfortable, your mind stays idle. But when you aim for something slightly beyond your reach, your thoughts become sharper. You start seeing new ways to act, new strategies to try, new skills to develop. Growth thrives in challenge. Each time you push your limits, your confidence grows, and that confidence builds momentum. It's also important to surround yourself with people who live with a growth mindset. The people you spend time with either pull you forward or hold you back. When you talk with those who think big, who set goals, who learn constantly, you naturally start to elevate your own standards. Their energy pushes you to think beyond comfort. Growth is contagious when you place yourself in the right environment. Focusing your thoughts on opportunity requires optimism, but not blind optimism. It's about realistic hope. It's understanding that while not everything will go your way, something valuable always can come out of every experience. When you approach life this way, you stop seeing yourself as a victim of events and start seeing yourself as a participant in your own progress. You develop mental resilience because you're no longer threatened by setbacks. You see them as part of the process. Many people sabotage their own potential by focusing too much on what they lack. They think they need more resources, more connections, or more time before they can act. But growth doesn't wait for perfect conditions. The moment you begin using what you already have, you create momentum. Focus on improving your skills, your habits, and your thinking. When you do, opportunities start appearing where there were none before. The external world often mirrors your internal growth. Your thoughts must be directed with precision. Every day, your mind will wander toward worry, fear, or comparison. That's normal. The difference is whether you allow it to stay there. Each time you catch yourself drifting into unproductive thinking, gently redirect your attention to something useful, learning, planning, or taking small action. Over time, this becomes second nature. You become the kind of person who naturally looks forward instead of backward. Another element of growth-focused thinking is gratitude. Gratitude keeps you grounded in the present while still striving for more. When you appreciate what you have, you create a mindset of abundance. This makes you more creative, patient, and resilient. People who think from abundance are more likely to spot opportunities because their minds aren't clouded by scarcity or resentment. Gratitude clears your vision and strengthens your ability to see potential. To stay focused on growth, you must also learn to adapt. The world changes fast, economies shift, technologies evolve, and opportunities move. Those who resist change become stuck, while those who stay flexible continue growing. Adaptability is not about losing your values, it's about updating your strategies. When something stops working, don't cling to it. Ask, what can work better now? Growth is not rigid, it's alive and responsive. You will face moments when doubt creeps, when progress feels slow, and when opportunities seem invisible. In those moments, the discipline to stay focused on growth becomes your greatest strength. Remind yourself that every skill takes time to develop, every dream takes persistence, and every transformation begins invisibly before it becomes visible. If you stay committed, your thinking will eventually lead you to results that others call luck. Growth is not a destination, it's a habit. It's a daily practice of directing your thoughts toward learning, improvement, and purpose. Opportunity is not something you wait for, it's something you recognize because your mind is trained to see it. The more you practice focusing on growth, the more confident, creative, and capable you become. Each day, choose what your thoughts will build. Feed them with ideas that push you forward, conversations that challenge you, and actions that prove your commitment. Your mind is a powerful engine. It will go wherever you steer it. Focus it on growth and opportunity, and your life will inevitably expand in the same direction. Chapter 4. Discipline your actions to match your financial goals. Discipline is the bridge between your financial goals and the reality you want to live. No matter how smart, creative, or ambitious you are, without discipline, your goals remain ideas that never take shape. Discipline is not about restriction or punishment. It's about alignment. It's about ensuring that your daily actions match the future you say you want. When you live with discipline, you stop drifting through life and start directing it. You stop reacting and begin building with purpose. Most people think of discipline as something external: rules, limits, systems, but true discipline starts internally. It's a quiet decision you make every day to act with intention, even when no one is watching. It's choosing progress over comfort, clarity over chaos, and purpose over impulse. Financial discipline is not something that develops overnight. It's built slowly, through consistent action, self-awareness, and honesty about what truly matters to you. If your goals are clear but your actions are scattered, your results will reflect that confusion. You cannot achieve financial freedom while living in emotional spending, random effort, or unplanned behavior. Every time you make a decision with money, how you spend, save, or invest, you're either moving closer to your goal or further away. Discipline ensures those small decisions line up with your bigger vision. It's not the large one-time actions that define your financial life, but the quiet, repeated choices you make when nobody notices. To build financial discipline, you must begin with clarity. You cannot discipline yourself toward a goal you don't understand. Define exactly what you're working toward. Do you want security, freedom, a specific income level, or a future of independence? Once you define it clearly, you can measure every action against it. Each purchase, investment, or habit can be viewed through one simple question: does this move me closer to my goal? If the answer is no, have the strength to walk away. This single question, practiced consistently, will change your life. Discipline requires you to control your impulses. In a world of instant gratification, this is harder than ever. Every advertisement, app, and platform is designed to make you act quickly and emotionally. But true wealth builders do the opposite. They pause, evaluate, and decide with patience. They understand that quick pleasure often leads to long-term frustration. When you practice restraint, you strengthen your ability to act rationally instead of emotionally. The reward is not just financial stability, it's self-respect. You begin to trust yourself because you know your actions align with your principles. One of the most powerful tools for building discipline is creating systems that make good decisions. Automatic. Systems protect you from emotional decisions. They guide your behavior without requiring constant willpower. Automate your savings, automate your investments, and schedule regular reviews of your finances. When systems are in place, discipline becomes less about struggle and more about structure. You remove the guesswork and let consistency work in your favor. Discipline also means learning how to say no, not just to others but to yourself. Many people sabotage their financial goals because they confuse desire with necessity. They buy what they want in the moment and justify it later. But every yes to an unnecessary expense is a no to your long-term freedom. Saying no is not deprivation, it's direction. It's choosing to delay what feels good now for what feels right later. Each time you make that choice, you strengthen your character and your capacity to stay focused. To live with disciplined action, you must also respect time. Time is your most valuable currency, and how you spend it determines how fast your goals materialize. You cannot waste hours each day on distractions and expect meaningful progress. The same principle that applies to money applies to time. Invest it wisely. Dedicate specific hours to learning, improving your skills, and managing your finances. Consistency in time management compounds just like money does. Each disciplined hour builds a stronger foundation for your future. Financial discipline also involves understanding priorities. You cannot give equal attention to everything and expect excellence. Decide what matters most and allocate your resources accordingly. Your budget should reflect your values, not your impulses. If your actions don't match your words, your goals will always stay out of reach. For example, if you say you value freedom but spend everything you earn, your habits contradict your desire. Discipline brings alignment. It ensures that what you say, what you want, and what you do all move in the same direction. Another part of disciplined living is consistency. You don't need perfect days, you need persistent ones. Wealth grows through routine, not randomness. Even when progress feels slow, stay consistent. Small daily acts, tracking expenses, setting aside savings, reading about finance create massive transformation over time. Most people quit because they expect fast results, but those who succeed understand that discipline compounds. Every time you stay consistent, you increase your capacity for control, and control is the foundation of freedom. To discipline your actions, you must also eliminate excuses. Excuses weaken your power because they allow temporary comfort to replace long-term reward. They make failure feel acceptable. The disciplined person takes full responsibility. They acknowledge mistakes, but refuse to let them define their future. Every excuse can be replaced with effort. When you stop blaming circumstances, you reclaim the power to change them. Financial discipline requires this level of ownership. You must see yourself as the cause, not the consequence, of your outcomes. Discipline is not about perfection, it's about correction. You will make mistakes, everyone does. What matters is how quickly you return to alignment. When you overspend, learn from it. When you miss a goal, analyze what went wrong. The disciplined mind doesn't collapse after failure. It adjusts and continues forward. This resilience is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. Every setback becomes a lesson instead of a defeat. Building disciplined habits becomes easier when your environment supports them. Create surroundings that make success effortless and temptation distant. If you want to save more, make it harder to access spending accounts. If you want to focus on financial education, keep books or audio programs nearby. Environment shapes behavior more than motivation does. The less friction you face in doing the right thing, the more natural discipline becomes. Financial discipline also means tracking your behavior, not just your numbers. Ask yourself regularly, am I acting like the person who deserves my goals? This question keeps you accountable. The habits of a wealthy person, organization, patience, responsibility must start before the wealth arrives. Discipline prepares you to handle success wisely. Without it, even great opportunities slip away. Another crucial aspect of discipline is patience. Most goals take longer than expected. Many people give up too early because they confuse slow progress with failure. Discipline teaches you to stay committed even when results aren't visible. You learn to trust the process and continue building quietly. When you act with patience, your decisions are smarter, your stress is lower, and your focus stays intact. Patience is not waiting, it's working steadily without losing faith in your outcome. It's also essential to align discipline with purpose. When your goals are meaningful, discipline becomes easier. You're not just following rules, you're following a vision. If your financial goals represent security for your family, freedom from debt, or peace of mind, remind yourself of that daily. Purpose gives discipline strength. Each time you act with discipline, you're proving to yourself that your goals are worth more than your impulses. You can strengthen discipline by tracking small wins. Every positive action you complete, every expense you control, every dollar you save, every plan you follow is evidence that you're changing. Acknowledge your progress, not to boast but to build confidence. Confidence grows through action, not intention. The more disciplined actions you take, the more natural they become. In the end, discipline creates freedom. The world often portrays discipline as something rigid, but the truth is the opposite. The more disciplined you become, the freer you feel. You're not trapped by bills, temptations, or stress. You're in command. Your money follows your plan. Your habits serve your goals. Your life reflects your decisions, not your distractions. Discipline your actions until they match the future you envision. Let every choice carry intention. Let every step move with purpose. Because the moment your actions reflect your goals, success stops being something you chase and becomes something you build steadily, quietly, and permanently. Chapter 5. Challenge negative beliefs that block your success. The greatest barrier to success is not lack of opportunity, time, or talent. It is the collection of invisible beliefs, quietly shaping how you think, act, and respond to life. These beliefs often begin early, passed down through family, culture, and experience. Over time, they harden into silent rules that define what you think is possible. If you were told that money is scarce, you grow up feeling guilty for wanting more. If you were told that success is for a select few, you hesitate to reach higher. These beliefs feel like truth, but they are only stories repeated so often that your mind accepts them without question. Challenging those beliefs is the beginning of transformation. Negative beliefs work in the background, quietly influencing every decision. They whisper doubts when you try to take a risk. They convince you to play small when opportunities appear. They disguise themselves as realism, making you think you're being practical when in truth you're being limited. The danger of these beliefs is that they sound reasonable. They blend into your daily thoughts so naturally that you forget they're not facts, they're interpretations. To create success, you must learn to separate what is real from what is assumed. Start by identifying the beliefs that control your thinking. Listen to the inner voice that speaks when you face challenges. Do you hear phrases like, "I'm not good with money," "I always fail," or "people like me never get ahead"? Those are not observations, they are instructions your brain has been following for years. Your subconscious mind obeys the patterns it's given. If you repeat weakness, it becomes behavior. If you repeat strength, it becomes power. The first step to change is awareness. You can't correct what you don't recognize. Write down the thoughts that arise when you think about success, wealth, or growth. Be honest, even if the thoughts seem uncomfortable. This exercise is not about judgment but discovery. Once the beliefs are on paper, examine where they came from. You might realize that many of them aren't yours, they were inherited from someone else's fear or experience. You've been carrying opinions that never belonged to you, and they've quietly shaped your future. Awareness gives you the choice to keep them or let them go. The process of challenging a belief begins with questioning its truth. Ask yourself, is this always true? For example, if you believe money is hard to earn, find evidence that contradicts it. There are countless people who have learned how to create income through skill, learning, and persistence. If others have done it, it cannot be universally true. When your mind realizes that a belief is not absolute, it begins to loosen its grip. Every time you question a limiting thought, you weaken its authority. The next step is replacing the old belief with a new one that supports your growth. The brain cannot hold a vacuum, it needs a new idea to fill the space left by the old one. If you remove a negative thought but don't replace it, the same pattern will eventually return. For example, instead of thinking, "I'm bad with money," replace it with, "I'm learning how to manage money effectively." This new belief acknowledges growth rather than deficiency. It gives your mind a direction instead of a dead end. Changing beliefs requires repetition, the same way. Negative beliefs became strong through years of repetition. Positive beliefs become strong through consistent reinforcement. Speak the new belief daily until it feels natural. Write it down. Act according to it. Behavior confirms belief. When you start taking actions that match the new thought, your brain begins to accept it as reality. Over time, what once felt like a lie becomes your new truth. Another powerful way to challenge limiting beliefs is to take small, deliberate actions that contradict them. Action is stronger than affirmation. If you believe you're incapable of learning a new skill, prove yourself wrong by learning something small. If you believe opportunities never come to you, start creating one by reaching out, applying, or asking. Each small act of defiance against your old beliefs reshapes your mental framework. The moment you take evidence against limitation, your confidence begins to rise. Negative beliefs often thrive in fear. They grow stronger when you avoid discomfort. Every time you step outside your comfort zone, you weaken their hold. Discomfort is proof that your old beliefs are being challenged. Embrace it. When you start a new business, take a risk, or push toward a bigger goal, your mind will resist it, will warn you that it's too risky, too late, or too uncertain. That resistance is not truth, it's protection. Your brain is trying to keep you safe by keeping you small. Thank it for trying to protect you, then act anyway. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's the decision to move forward despite it. One of the most damaging beliefs is the idea that you are defined by your past. Many people carry the weight of old failures and disappointments, using them as proof that success isn't possible. But the past is not evidence of the future, it's a lesson. Every mistake you've made taught you something valuable. The person you were is not the person you are now. The moment you stop identifying with past mistakes, you free yourself to create a different outcome. Growth happens when you stop arguing for your limitations. Challenging negative beliefs also requires surrounding yourself with examples of what's possible. Spend time with people who think bigger, not because they're better, but because their mindset will stretch yours. Exposure expands belief. When you see ordinary people achieving extraordinary results, your brain starts to question its own limitations. It begins to realize that success is not exclusive, it's accessible through learning and consistency. Another powerful practice is to monitor your language. The words you use daily reveal the beliefs you hold subconsciously. Phrases like, "I can't," "I'll try," or "it's too late," reinforce defeat before effort even begins. Replace them with statements of intention. "I can figure this out," "I'm working on it," "I will find a way." Language shapes identity. Speak in ways that align with strength, not limitation. To fully overcome negative beliefs, you must develop self-compassion. Many people punish themselves for not being further along, comparing their progress to others. This self-criticism strengthens negative patterns. Growth requires patience and forgiveness. Every time you slip into old thinking, gently bring yourself back. Discipline without kindness becomes pressure. Discipline with kindness becomes transformation. Limiting beliefs can also hide in your expectations. If you expect things to go wrong, you subconsciously act in ways that confirm it. If you expect things to work out, you move differently, you take chances, stay calm, and persist. Your expectations become self-fulfilling prophecies. Train yourself to expect progress, even in small steps. This doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means focusing your energy on what can be improved instead of what might fail. Challenging your beliefs is not a one-time event. It's a continuous process. Each new level of growth will bring new fears and doubts. The beliefs that once protected you may later restrict you. Stay aware of how your thoughts evolve. Each time you set a new goal, pause and ask, what belief must I let go of to reach this level? The willingness to outgrow old beliefs is what keeps you advancing. Success becomes easier when your beliefs align with your goals. When your mind supports your ambition instead of resisting it, effort feels lighter. You stop battling yourself and start channeling energy toward action. The most successful people are not those without fear, they're the ones who refuse to let fear write their story. As you replace negative beliefs with empowering ones, you begin to notice subtle changes in your behavior. You speak with more confidence, make faster decisions, and stop doubting every move. These are signs that your inner dialogue is shifting. Your outer results always follow your inner narrative. When your belief system changes, your circumstances eventually catch up. The mind is powerful, but it's also programmable. You can train it just like any other part of yourself. The more you feed it ideas of strength, ability, and growth, the more naturally it begins to operate from those qualities. Every day is an opportunity to rewire your thoughts. Every challenge is a chance to prove that old limitations no longer define you. The beliefs that once blocked your success were never facts. They were filters. They shaped how you saw yourself and the world. When you remove those filters, life expands. You see possibilities where you once saw problems. You start moving with calm confidence instead of hesitation. You realize that success was never about becoming someone new. It was about unlearning everything that told you couldn't. Your potential is larger than any belief you hold about it. Challenge every thought that tells you to settle. Question every assumption that says it's too late. Replace hesitation with action and fear with curiosity. The moment you stop accepting limitation as truth, you step into the freedom of growth. And in that freedom, success becomes not just possible but inevitable. Chapter 6. Learn new skills that increase your earning potential. The world rewards those who continue to learn. Every skill you build expands your earning potential, your confidence, and your value to others. The economy changes, industries evolve, and technology advances faster than ever before. The only way to stay ahead is to keep growing with it. The person who learns consistently never fears competition because they know they can adapt, improve, and rise again. The person who stops learning falls behind, not because they lack intelligence, but because they stopped feeding it. Knowledge is not just power, it is leverage. And in a changing world, leverage determines freedom. Learning new skills begins with the mindset that you are never finished. Many people stop learning once they leave school, thinking education ends with a diploma. But real education begins when life tests you. Every skill you master is a tool that increases your ability to create income, solve problems, and provide value. The more value you offer, the more opportunities naturally flow to you. Earning more is not about luck, it's about becoming too skilled to be ignored. To increase your earning potential, start by identifying the skills that the market rewards. Look around at your field, your community, and the industries growing fastest. Ask yourself which abilities are in demand and which ones are fading. The key is to build skills that solve problems for others. People pay for solutions, not effort. If you can solve a valuable problem better than most, you'll always have income. Every profession, from teaching to technology, rewards problem solvers. That's why continuous learning is not optional, it's survival. Your first step is to choose one area of growth. Don't try to learn everything at once. Pick a skill that either complements what you already do or opens the door to a new opportunity. Focus on one, master it, and then move to the next. The mistake most people make is chasing multiple interests without committing to any. True growth requires focus. One skill deeply learned can change your entire financial trajectory. Once you've chosen your focus, build a learning system. Discipline matters more than speed. Set aside consistent time every day for study and practice. Even 30 minutes of focused learning compounds quickly. The brain responds to repetition. It builds connections through consistency, not intensity. You don't need long hours, you need steady effort. Learning something new is uncomfortable at first because your brain resists change. But discomfort is proof of growth. Every time you push through confusion, your mind becomes sharper. Use modern tools to your advantage. You no longer need to wait for formal education to improve your earning power. You can access the world's best teachers through books, courses, podcasts, and tutorials. The resources are endless, but you must use them with purpose. Many people collect information without applying it. Knowledge alone doesn't create income, application does. Each week, ask yourself how you can use what you learned to improve your work, your business, or your decisions. The faster you turn learning into action, the faster your income grows. Another way to expand your earning potential is to combine skills. One skill makes you useful, but multiple skills make you irreplaceable. When you connect different abilities like communication and technology, creativity and strategy, leadership and organization, you create unique value that few others offer. This combination multiplies your opportunities because you become someone who can bridge gaps, solve diverse problems, and adapt quickly. In today's world, adaptability is wealth. Be willing to learn skills outside your comfort zone. Many people limit themselves by saying, "I'm not good at that," before they even try. But mastery comes from patience, not talent. Every expert began as a beginner who refused to quit. Learning something new can feel humbling, especially if you're starting later in life, but humility is the gateway to progress. When you stay open to learning, you stay open to growth. Every time you face something unfamiliar and persist, you're teaching your brain resilience, the same resilience that translates into greater earning power. Financial growth also depends on your ability to learn skills that multiply your results, not just your effort. Working harder has limits. Working smarter does not. Skills like communication, negotiation, leadership, marketing, and investing can amplify every other ability you have. Learning to express ideas clearly can help you sell, teach, or lead. Understanding how to manage time and prioritize tasks can double your productivity without adding more hours. The more strategic your skills become, the more your time is worth. Learning is also about observation. Pay attention to people who earn more, lead better, or grow faster. Study how they think and what they do differently. Success leaves patterns. You don't need to copy anyone, but you can model principles. Observe how successful people use their skills, how they manage time, and how they make decisions. Every observation can be turned into a lesson that accelerates your growth. To make learning effective, track your progress. Keep a notebook or journal where you record what you're learning, what works, and what doesn't. Reflecting helps you internalize knowledge and turn it into wisdom. Without reflection, learning becomes memory without application. Ask yourself regularly how your new skills are improving your results. If they're not, refine your methods. Learning is a cycle study. Apply, review, and improve. Sometimes the best learning comes from teaching others. When you explain what you know, you clarify your own understanding. Sharing knowledge also builds credibility and influence, both of which can increase your earning potential. People are drawn to those who can simplify complex ideas. Whether it's mentoring, creating content, or helping peers, teaching strengthens your confidence and opens unexpected doors. Invest in learning as seriously as you invest in anything else. Many people hesitate to spend money on courses, training, or materials, but they'll spend freely on entertainment or comfort. That mindset limits progress. Education is not an expense, it's an asset. Every skill you learn can pay you back many times over. The return on investment from knowledge is endless because once a skill is mastered, it stays with you for life. To grow faster, surround yourself with learners. When you spend time with curious, motivated people, their energy pushes you forward. Conversations become classrooms, and progress becomes normal. You start adopting their habits, their optimism, and their hunger for improvement. Growth is contagious when shared with the right people. Avoid those who mock learning or settle for mediocrity. They will anchor your potential. The discipline to learn also requires managing distractions. Modern life is filled with noise, notifications, social media, entertainment. Every minute spent scrolling without purpose steals time from your growth. Protect your attention like you protect your money. Create dedicated time for focused learning and make it non-negotiable. Mastery requires attention, and attention requires peace. You can't grow while distracted. Don't wait until you feel ready to start. Readiness is built through doing. The first attempt will always feel uncomfortable, but progress only comes through action. Begin where you are with what you have. The longer you delay, the more opportunities pass by. Start small, but start now. Each day of delay is a day of potential lost. Remember that learning new skills is not just about increasing income, it's about becoming more capable, independent, and confident. When you can adapt, you never fear losing a job or facing change. You know you can rebuild because your mind is your greatest asset. That kind of confidence cannot be taken from you. It gives you peace even in uncertain times. The connection between skill and income is simple. The more value you create, the more value you attract. Skills are the tools that allow you to create that value. As you grow more capable, you start thinking differently. You stop asking for permission and start creating opportunities. You stop hoping for luck and start building leverage. The person you become through learning is far more powerful than any skill alone. You become someone who believes in your ability to grow, someone who trusts effort more than excuses. You learn to see yourself as an evolving project, always improving, always capable of more. That mindset is what transforms earning potential into lasting success. Every time you learn a new skill, you increase your options. More options mean more freedom. Freedom to choose where you work, how you live, and what you create. Learning gives you control over your destiny. The world changes, but a mind trained to grow will always find its place. You don't need to know everything. You only need to keep learning something. Because the moment you stop learning, your potential stops expanding. But as long as you stay curious, your earning power and your life will keep rising without limit. Chapter 7. Take bold action toward your financial independence. Financial independence begins with courage. It is not a gift, not a miracle, and not an accident. It is a deliberate path walked by those who are willing to act decisively, take risks intelligently, and move forward even when they are uncertain. Bold action is what separates those who dream of freedom from those who actually live it. It is easy to plan, research, and talk about financial goals, but real change begins only when you decide to act despite doubt. Boldness is not recklessness. It is clarity in motion. It is doing what must be done, not because it feels safe, but because it is necessary. Many people wait for the perfect moment to begin when they have more time, more money, or more confidence. That moment never comes. Waiting is the most common form of fear disguised as logic. You cannot think your way to independence. You must move your way there. Every bold decision starts imperfectly. The first investment, the first business idea, the first step toward saving, none of these begin with certainty. They begin with willingness. The moment you take that first action, your fear starts to lose control over you. Bold action requires belief in your ability to learn and adapt. You don't need to have everything figured out before you start. You only need to trust that you can figure things out as you go. Most people underestimate what they can learn once they commit. They overthink because they believe mistakes will ruin them, but in truth, inaction is far more damaging. When you act, you create experience. When you hesitate, you create regret. Boldness builds wisdom. Hesitation builds fear. To take action toward financial independence, start by defining what independence means to you. It might mean living debt-free, building multiple income streams, or having enough savings to work on your terms. Without a clear definition, your actions scatter. Clarity gives direction, and direction fuels action. Write down exactly what your financial independence looks like, how much you need, what kind of lifestyle you want, and why it matters. The stronger your why, the bolder your actions become. Once your vision is clear, convert it into measurable goals. Set targets that are specific and time-bound. If you want to save a certain amount or reach a certain income level, break it into smaller, achievable milestones. Bold action does not mean giant leaps. It means consistent movement. Each small action builds momentum, and momentum builds in confidence. When progress becomes visible, fear loses its power. Courage in finance often means stepping outside comfort zones. For some, it means starting a side business. For others, it means investing for the first time, learning about real estate, or negotiating for higher pay. Whatever your step is, it must stretch you. Growth and comfort cannot coexist. Boldness begins the moment you do something that feels uncertain but aligned with your goals. Every time you act in courage, you train your mind to operate from strength instead of fear. Financial independence also requires initiative. Don't wait for permission or ideal circumstances. Create your own opportunities. If you don't have the perfect resources, use what you have. If you lack knowledge, start learning immediately. Action attracts information, mentors, and possibilities that hesitation never will. When you move, life starts to respond. People notice, doors open, and solutions appear. Momentum is magnetic. You must also develop resilience, because bold action will always meet resistance. Challenges will come, mistakes will happen, and plans will shift. That's not failure, that's feedback. Every obstacle is data that helps you adjust and grow stronger. The difference between those who reach independence and those who don't is how they respond when things get hard. Bold thinkers use setbacks as fuel. They ask, "What can I learn?" instead of, "Why me?" This mindset keeps them moving even when the outcome is unclear. To act boldly, you must detach from the need for approval. Financial independence often requires choices that others won't understand. You might live differently, spend differently, or take paths that seem unconventional. Many people stay stuck because they fear judgment, but those opinions won't pay your bills or secure your future. Bold action means valuing your future more than other people's comfort. You must be willing to be misunderstood in the short term to be respected in the long term. Taking bold action also means mastering decision-making. Successful people don't waste time in indecision. They gather enough information, trust their judgment, and move. Perfectionists lose years waiting for absolute certainty, while bold minds learn through experience. Remember that no decision is final, you can always adjust. What matters most is momentum. Every decision you make sharpens your instincts. Over time, you become faster, more confident, and more capable of making financial moves that create lasting results. You cannot achieve independence without taking control of your money. Bold action requires knowing exactly where your income goes, how your expenses behave, and where your savings can grow. Take ownership of your financial life. Review your accounts regularly. Look for leaks in spending, opportunities for investment, and areas where you can improve. Ignoring money because it feels stressful only multiplies stress later. Face it and understand it and command it. Awareness is the foundation of control. Another part of bold action is learning how to use money to create more money. Saving is important, but saving alone will never build independence. You must make your money productive. Invest in education, business, or assets that grow over time. Don't let fear of risk keep you paralyzed. Learn enough to make informed choices, start small, and build from there. The goal is not to gamble, but to grow through knowledge and consistency. Every wise investment, no matter how small, brings you closer to freedom. Courage also means protecting your progress. Avoid unnecessary debt, emotional spending, and financial distractions. Every time you say yes to something impulsive, you slow your journey. Every time you delay gratification, you accelerate it. Boldness is not just taking action, it's maintaining control when temptation appears. Success is not one big decision. It's hundreds of disciplined choices made over time. Sometimes bold action is internal. It's the decision to stop doubting your worth. Many people hold back because they secretly believe they're not capable of wealth or success. They think boldness belongs to others. But financial independence doesn't require extraordinary intelligence, it requires extraordinary commitment. The moment you decide that you are capable of handling success, your actions begin to match that belief. You start moving like someone who expects progress instead of hoping for it. Boldness is a muscle that grows through repetition. The first time you act despite fear, it feels difficult. The second time, it feels manageable. The third time, it becomes natural. Each act of courage rewires your brain for confidence. Eventually, you stop asking, "Can I do this?" and start asking, What's the next step? That shift marks the beginning of true independence. Taking bold action also involves speed. The world changes fast, and opportunities don't wait. When you recognize an opening, move. Don't delay until conditions are perfect. They never will be. The people who succeed are not always the smartest. They're the ones who act while others hesitate. Progress favors motion. The longer you wait, the colder your motivation becomes. Take the step while the idea is still alive in you. Every bold move will test your patience. Progress rarely follows a straight path. Some efforts will fail, others will take longer than expected, but every attempt teaches something valuable. Failure is not the opposite of success, it's part of it. The more you act, the more skilled you become at turning failures into breakthroughs. The only true mistake is refusing to try. Bold action is not just external, it's also mental. You must train your thoughts to align with forward motion. Replace hesitation with decisiveness, replace doubt with discipline, and replace fear with focus. Your outer results are always a reflection of your inner pace. If you think small, you act small. If you think boldly, you act with power. The person who takes bold action stops waiting for life to get easier. They decide to become stronger. Every day presents a chance to move closer to independence. You don't need to have all the answers, you just need to take the next step. The path will reveal itself as you walk it. Each day of action builds evidence that you are capable, and that evidence creates unstoppable confidence. Financial freedom is not achieved by the cautious, it belongs to those who act before they feel ready. Your independence begins with one simple truth. Movement creates momentum. Every risk you take intelligently, every choice you make with purpose, every step you take toward your goal brings you closer to freedom. Do not wait for certainty. Create it through action. The future belongs to those who dare to move forward boldly, even when the outcome is unknown. Because in the end, bold action is not just how you build wealth, it's how you build yourself. Chapter 8. Surround yourself with people who think about progress. The people you allow into your life shape the direction of your thoughts, the quality of your energy, and the height of your potential. No one grows in isolation. Every environment you stay in either pushes you forward or keeps you where you are. Progress is rarely the result of effort alone, it is the outcome of influence. If you surround yourself with people who think small, complain often, and settle easily, your ambitions begin to shrink without you realizing it. But if you stay close to those who speak about goals, self-improvement, and new possibilities, your thinking expands automatically. You start expecting more from yourself because you witness others doing the same. Progressive people carry a certain energy, an energy of movement, curiosity, and drive. They are not perfect, but they refuse to stay stuck. They look for solutions instead of problems, and when you're around them, you can feel that momentum pulling you upward. You need that kind of company. Your goals require an environment that feeds them, not one that drains them. The wrong people can make you doubt what's possible, while the right people can remind you of your strength when you forget it. Your circle matters more than you think. You absorb the habits, words, and mindset of those you spend the most time with. Without realizing it, you begin to imitate their thinking. That's why mediocrity is contagious, but so is ambition. If you want to grow, make it your mission to spend more time around individuals who are genuinely improving their lives. It doesn't matter if they are ahead of you or at the same level. What matters is that they are moving forward. Progress-minded people challenge you. They don't let you stay comfortable. They ask questions that make you think deeper. And they hold you accountable to your goals. Sometimes they make you uncomfortable, but that discomfort is healthy. Growth always feels uneasy at first. If everyone around you agrees with you all the time, you're probably not learning. The right people will support you but also expect more from you. They'll push you toward higher standards because they believe in your potential even when you doubt it yourself. To build a circle of progress, you must first become someone who values growth. You attract what you reflect. If you complain, gossip, or make excuses, you'll naturally attract others who do the same. But if you stay disciplined, focused, and solution-oriented, you'll begin to meet others who think similarly. Energy recognizes energy. The moment you commit to self-improvement, you start noticing others who are doing the same. Your new environment begins with your own transformation. Seek out people who inspire you through action, not talk. Many can speak about goals, but few live them. Pay attention to consistency. Surround yourself with those who take steps toward their future daily, even in small ways. Their habits will influence yours more than their advice ever could. When you watch someone show up for their dreams every day, you're reminded that effort works. Their behavior becomes a mirror that reflects what you can also achieve. You can find growth-oriented people in many places: books, communities, classes, and online groups. You don't need to know them personally to be influenced by them. Sometimes, a mentor's words can shift your mindset more than a friend's encouragement. Consume content from thinkers who challenge your limits and teach you practical skills. Listening to people who are ahead of you creates an invisible mentorship. It gives your mind better conversations, even when you're alone. If your current circle resists progress, understand that you don't need to cut everyone off immediately, but you do need to protect your focus. Spend less time around negativity and more time around inspiration. Be polite, but be firm about your priorities. People who constantly criticize or discourage growth are revealing their own fears, not your truth. You owe it to yourself to grow beyond that influence. Protecting your energy is not selfish, it's strategic. One of the strongest ways to build a progressive circle is through contribution. Don't just seek people who can help you, become someone who helps others grow too. Offer encouragement, share knowledge, and celebrate others' success. The more you contribute to the growth of others, the more valuable you become in any circle. Progress thrives in environments of collaboration, not competition. When you lift others, you rise with them. Observe how you feel after spending time with someone. If you leave a conversation feeling drained, doubtful, or small, that's a signal. If you leave feeling motivated, clear, and confident, that's another signal. Listen to those feelings. They are indicators of whether someone supports your growth or stifles it. You don't have to explain your boundaries to everyone, but you must enforce them. Your time and energy are limited resources, and not everyone deserves access to them. Be intentional about having conversations that spark growth. Ask people what they're learning, what they're building, or what they're struggling to improve. These kinds of discussions strengthen connection and keep your mind focused on progress. Talking about ideas and growth elevates your perspective, while talking about people or problems keeps you distracted. The quality of your conversations predicts the direction of your future. Your environment should make success feel normal. If the people around you are constantly improving themselves, earning more, learning more, and evolving, you begin to see progress as the standard, not the exception. This normalization of achievement changes your expectations for yourself. You start to see bigger goals as natural steps, not distant dreams. That's the power of being surrounded by forward thinkers. They make you forget that growth was ever considered unusual. Sometimes, to surround yourself with progress, you'll have to distance yourself from familiarity. It's not always easy. Some people will feel left behind or interpret your growth as rejection. But understand, this growth is not betrayal. You're not abandoning anyone by becoming better. You're honoring your potential. The right people will respect that. The ones who misunderstand were never meant to go where you're going. Progress has a cost, but stagnation has a heavier one. In your circle, look for diversity of thought. Don't limit yourself to people who think exactly like you. Progress requires challenge, and challenge requires difference. Surround yourself with those who see the world from various angles, but share your core values of discipline, integrity, and growth. Their perspectives will sharpen your understanding and prevent you from becoming one-dimensional. Variety in thought leads to depth in wisdom. To maintain a circle of progress, keep growing yourself. The moment you stop improving, your influence fades. Be the example that inspires others. Let your actions reflect your words. When people see your consistency and humility, they naturally gravitate toward your energy. A strong circle doesn't happen by chance. It's built through daily effort, honesty, and respect. Learn to detach from negativity gracefully. You don't need to argue with those who resist progress. Silence and distance are often enough. Use that space to refocus your mind on what matters. Every minute spent explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you is time stolen from your purpose. Move forward quietly, and your results will speak for you louder than words ever could. The people around you are a reflection of your standards. Raise those standards. Surround yourself with people who remind you of your strength, not your weakness. People who talk about solutions, not excuses. People who plan for the future, not those who relive the past. The right environment will not only challenge you, it will protect your ambition from shrinking under the weight of negativity. As you continue to evolve, your circle will change. Don't fear that change. It's proof of growth. Each stage of your life requires a different level of influence. Embrace the evolution. The people meant for your next chapter will meet you there. Ultimately, your environment will determine how far you go. You can have the best intentions, but if your surroundings pull you backward, your progress will stall. Protect your mind, choose your company wisely, and align your life with people who remind you that progress is not just possible, it's the only direction worth going. Chapter 9. Track your progress to stay focused and motivated. Progress loses its power when it goes unmeasured. The human mind needs proof of movement to stay engaged and motivated. Without tracking, even your best efforts begin to feel invisible, and invisible effort often turns into frustration. Success is built on clarity, and clarity is born from measurement. When you track your progress, you give your mind evidence that you are advancing. That evidence fuels confidence, and confidence fuels consistency. Tracking is not about perfection, it's about awareness. It's about knowing exactly where you stand, so you can adjust your actions with precision and purpose. Most people start their journey with excitement, but lose focus along the way because they can't see how far they've come. They measure progress only by big results, money earned, goals achieved, milestones completed, and forget that every major success is built from small, consistent steps. Tracking those steps transforms invisible progress into visible motivation. You begin to see that improvement is happening even on days when you feel stuck. That awareness keeps you moving when motivation fades. To stay focused, you must make your growth measurable. Write down your financial goals, your daily habits, and your long-term targets. Break them into numbers, dates, or milestones that can be reviewed regularly. Vague intentions like, "I want to save more," or "I want to grow my business," carry no weight because the brain doesn't know how to measure them. Specific targets like, "Save $500 this month," or "Increase income by 10% this quarter," create structure. Structure keeps motivation alive. When progress is visible, the brain feels rewarded, and that sense of reward drives more action. Tracking progress is also about honesty. Numbers don't lie, even when your emotions try to. You might feel like you're not improving, but when you see the facts, your savings growing, your expenses decreasing, your habits becoming consistent, you realize you're moving forward. On the other hand, Tracking exposes areas where you're falling behind. That's not failure, it's feedback. Feedback is one of the most powerful tools for growth. When you can see what's not working, you gain the power to correct it. Ignorance may feel comfortable, but it keeps you stuck. Awareness, even when uncomfortable, leads to mastery. To build consistency, create a system for reviewing your progress. Choose a method that fits your personality, a journal, spreadsheet, planner, or digital tracker. What matters is not how fancy it looks, but how regularly you use it. Set a specific time each week or month to review your goals. This review session is your mirror. It shows you the truth about your effort and results. During each review, ask yourself 3 questions. What worked well? What needs improvement? What's the next step? These questions keep your focus sharp and prevent your goals from fading into routine. Tracking also builds discipline. It transforms effort into accountability. When you write things down, you create a record of commitment. You can't hide from what's on paper. This accountability keeps you from drifting into autopilot. Many people work hard but never know whether their actions are truly effective. They confuse movement with progress. Tracking separates the two. It helps you focus on what creates results and drop what wastes time. Over time, this awareness saves enormous energy and accelerates your success. Motivation is not constant, it rises and falls. That's why systems like tracking are essential. They keep you moving even when motivation disappears. On days when you don't feel inspired, your progress log reminds you how far you've come. It becomes your proof that effort works. It whispers, "Keep going. You're getting there." The human brain thrives on progress. Even the smallest sign of advancement releases energy that reignites drive. Tracking provides that fuel when willpower runs low. When it comes to finances, tracking is especially powerful. Record your income, expenses, savings, and investments regularly. Numbers reveal patterns that emotions can't. You may notice where small leaks drain your money or where opportunities for growth appear. This awareness turns vague financial goals into manageable strategies. Each improvement, no matter how small, strengthens your sense of control. Control builds confidence, and confidence leads to better decisions. The more you understand your numbers, the less stress money causes. Tracking also helps you celebrate progress properly. Many people achieve small wins but dismiss them as insignificant. Over time, this creates burnout. They feel like their effort never leads anywhere because they never pause to acknowledge growth. Celebration doesn't mean arrogance, it means recognition. When you pause to see your progress, you reinforce the behaviors that created it. You teach your brain that discipline is rewarding. This emotional connection between effort and reward strengthens motivation naturally. To stay focused, track not only your outcomes but also your actions. For example, if your goal is to save more, track how many days you avoid unnecessary spending. If your goal is to earn more, track how many hours you dedicate to skill building or business development. Action tracking keeps you grounded in what you can control. Results are delayed, but actions are immediate. When you track what you can do today, you stay engaged even before the results appear. Sometimes tracking will reveal slow progress. You'll look at your numbers and feel like things aren't moving fast enough. That's when discipline matters most. Slow progress is still progress. It's the compounding of effort that eventually creates breakthroughs. Tracking helps you see that even when results seem small, they're building momentum underneath the surface. Without tracking, you might give up too early, not realizing how close you were to success. Another benefit of tracking is clarity in decision-making. When you have data about your habits, performance, and outcomes, you make smarter choices. You know where your time, energy, and money are going. You can adjust strategies based on facts rather than feelings. This clarity saves you from emotional decision-making, which is one of the biggest barriers to progress. The disciplined mind acts on information, not impulse. Tracking gives you that information. You can also use tracking to strengthen consistency in your mindset. Record your thoughts, emotions, and lessons learned each week. This helps you notice patterns in your behavior. You might find that certain habits, people, or environments consistently improve your performance, while others drain it. Awareness allows you to shape your life intentionally. Over time, you begin to recognize triggers that pull you off track and habits that keep you aligned. This self-knowledge turns discipline into a skill instead of a struggle. Tracking is also an act of respect for your time, for your effort, and for your goals. When you track, you're telling yourself that your growth matters enough to measure. You're treating your life like a project worth improving. Most people manage their jobs better than their own lives. They plan for work but live by chance. When you bring structure to your personal goals, everything changes. Progress stops being random and becomes predictable. You can take tracking further by creating visual reminders. Use charts, lists, or progress bars that show improvement over time. The visual impact of seeing growth is powerful. It turns abstract goals into tangible evidence. Each mark, each number, each update is a symbol of commitment. These visuals keep your future visible even on difficult days. They remind you that persistence is working, even when it doesn't feel like it. Another layer of tracking is accountability through others. Share your goals with someone you trust, a mentor, a partner, or a friend who values growth. Discuss your progress regularly. This simple habit multiplies motivation because you know someone else will ask how you're doing. Accountability creates structure, and structure turns goals into commitments instead of wishes. The most important reason to track your progress is that it builds momentum. Success is a psychological game as much as it is a practical one. When you can see growth, you feel capable. When you feel capable, you act more boldly. Each step builds confidence for the next one. Progress, once visible, becomes addictive in the best way. Tracking is not about control, it's about awareness. It doesn't mean obsessing over numbers or judging yourself for mistakes. It means understanding what's happening so you can make better choices. It's how you stay awake in your own life instead of drifting. Without measurement, effort becomes guesswork. With it, every action counts. Each time you track, you're proving that your progress matters. You're turning intention into evidence. You're creating a roadmap of effort that will one day lead to success. The act itself becomes a form of discipline, and discipline always leads to results. Progress is never about perfection, it's about direction. When you track where you are, you always know how to move forward. It gives you power, clarity, and motivation. It reminds you that growth is happening, even when it feels slow. And that simple awareness, the knowledge that you are advancing step by step, is often all you need to keep going until the results finally appear. Chapter 10. Commit to lifelong learning to keep growing richer. Wealth grows in the mind long before it appears in the world. The moment you stop learning, you stop expanding the space in which success can exist. Lifelong learning is not an academic pursuit, it is a way of living that keeps you sharp, adaptable, and capable in every stage of life. The world changes faster than ever, and those who resist learning eventually become trapped by their own comfort. But those who stay curious never run out of opportunities. Knowledge is the fuel of growth, and continuous learning is the engine that keeps you moving toward greater wealth, confidence, and peace of mind. Lifelong learning begins with humility. It requires admitting that you don't know everything and that what you do know can always be improved. This humility is not weakness, it is the foundation of wisdom. Many people stop learning because they confuse experience with mastery. They think years on a job equal expertise, or that success in one area means they've figured life out. But real learners never reach a finish line. They understand that every skill can be refined, every idea can be updated, and every belief can be tested. Growth is endless for the mind that stays open. Commitment to lifelong learning also means letting go of the illusion of final answers. The world is not static. New ideas, tools, and technologies appear constantly. What worked yesterday may not work tomorrow. Those who cling to the old ways get left behind, not because they lack ability, but because they refuse to adapt. True learners stay flexible. They evolve with time, always asking, "What can I understand better?" or "How can I do this more effectively?" That mindset keeps them ahead of change instead of crushed beneath it. To commit to lifelong learning, you must first decide that education is a daily practice, not a temporary project. Set aside time each day for feeding your mind. Read, listen, or observe with purpose. You don't need hours. Consistent minutes are enough to reshape your thinking. The brain thrives on repetition and engagement. Even 15 minutes of focused learning each day compounds into massive growth over time. The point is not volume, but consistency. Curiosity, practiced daily, becomes a habit that strengthens your focus and expands your possibilities. Lifelong learners approach every situation with the question, "What can this teach me?" They don't wait for classrooms or teachers. They see lessons in everything. A conversation, a mistake, a failure, or even an observation can become a source of insight. Every experience, good or bad, contains information that can help you improve. When you view life as a classroom, you stop labeling experiences as wasted time. You start seeing them as tuition for your growth. Continuous learning also protects your financial health. Economies shift, industries disappear, and job markets evolve. The person who learns constantly stays employable, creative, and ready. The one who stops learning becomes dependent on outdated skills. In today's world, your ability to learn fast is more valuable than any single degree. Those who can adapt will always find a way to earn, no matter the circumstances. Learning ensures freedom because it keeps you relevant. Another essential part of lifelong learning is diversity of knowledge. Don't limit yourself to one subject or industry. Expand your understanding across fields: business, psychology, communication, leadership, technology, and finance. Different disciplines connect in powerful ways, allowing you to see patterns others miss. When your knowledge is broad and flexible, you become a bridge between ideas, and bridges create value. The most successful people in any field are not those who know one thing deeply, but those who can combine multiple forms of knowledge into something useful and unique. Learning also changes how you think. It stretches your mind beyond assumptions and habits. It helps you see the world with perspective instead of judgment. The more you learn, the more you realize how much you still have to learn, and that awareness keeps you humble and grounded. Intellectual growth builds emotional intelligence, which strengthens how you deal with people, problems, and pressure. A well-educated mind is not just informed, it's calm, balanced, and confident. To sustain lifelong learning, create systems that make it easy. Carry a book or e-reader wherever you go. Listen to audiobooks or podcasts during travel or breaks. Watch documentaries instead of endless entertainment. Replace a few minutes of distraction each day with learning. These small choices, repeated over time, compound into mastery. Discipline your environment to support curiosity. The easier you make it to learn, the more likely you'll continue doing it. The people you surround yourself with also influence your growth. Spend time with thinkers, doers, and learners. Their enthusiasm for improvement will spark your own. Discuss ideas, not gossip. Share knowledge, not complaints. When you're around people who value learning, it becomes part of your identity. You start measuring your days not just by what you did, but by what you discovered. Growth becomes natural when it's shared with others. Financial independence depends heavily on your willingness to keep learning. The more skills you develop, the more valuable you become in the marketplace. The more value you create, the more opportunities for income follow. Lifelong learners are never afraid of economic change because they can reinvent themselves. They can start something new, explore new fields, and adapt to new systems. That confidence, the belief that you can always learn what you need, is the foundation of lasting wealth. Lifelong learning also protects your mind from stagnation. Many people lose passion for life not because of age, but because they stop growing. Their days become predictable, and their curiosity fades. But learning keeps you alive mentally. It gives you something to look forward to, something that challenges your thinking and keeps your spirit sharp. When your mind stays active, your creativity stays alive, and your sense of purpose remains strong. True learners don't learn only for profit, they learn for fulfillment. Money is a result of value, and value comes from understanding. The more you learn, the more capable you become of helping others, solving problems, and creating positive change. Wealth is not just what you earn, it's what you know and how you use it. A rich mind always finds a way to create a rich life. To keep growing, you must also learn how to unlearn. The world changes so quickly that what was once true can become outdated. Lifelong learners are willing to let go of old beliefs when evidence shows a better way. They don't cling to ego or tradition, they prioritize progress. Unlearning is often harder than learning because it requires humility, but it's essential. Adaptability is the mark of intelligence, and intelligence is the foundation of growth. Use reflection as part of your learning process. Don't just collect information, process it. Ask yourself what you've learned each week and how you can apply it. Reflection turns information into wisdom. Without application, learning becomes memory instead of growth. The best learners turn every insight into action. They test ideas, experiment, fail, and adjust. This cycle of learning and doing creates mastery. Stay curious about everything, even outside your interests. Curiosity feeds creativity. Many breakthroughs come from unexpected sources: an idea from history applied to business, a principle from science used in leadership, a lesson from philosophy turned into financial discipline. The more connections you make between subjects, the stronger your mind becomes. Curiosity keeps your thinking flexible, which keeps you innovative. Another important part of lifelong learning is teaching others. When you share what you know, you reinforce your own understanding. Teaching forces clarity, it transforms vague knowledge into structured insight. It also multiplies your impact. The more you help others learn, the stronger your reputation and relationships become. Knowledge shared is never lost, it multiplies. To commit to learning for life, stay humble enough to be a beginner again and again. Each time you start something new, you expand your possibilities. Don't let pride or fear of looking inexperienced stop you. Every master began at zero. The willingness to be new at something keeps your mind fresh and your opportunities open. Comfort is the silent killer of growth. Learning deeply also requires protecting your attention. In a world of distractions, your focus is your most valuable resource. Turn off noise that teaches nothing. Choose what you consume carefully. Every piece of information you absorb shapes how you think. Be selective. Feed your mind with ideas that make you better, stronger, and wiser. When you commit to lifelong learning, your success becomes inevitable. You become too adaptable to fail for long. You recover faster, create faster, and lead with confidence. You start recognizing opportunities that others overlook because your mind is tuned to progress. The wealthiest people in the world are not those who stopped learning. After success, they are the ones who kept learning because success never made them complacent. Learning is not something you do to reach success. It is something you do to sustain it. Every stage of life offers new lessons, and every lesson offers new wealth. The moment you stop learning, your growth ends. But as long as you remain curious, your potential stays limitless. True richness is not measured by what you own, but by what you continue to understand. The more you learn, the richer your perspective, your choices, and your life become. And that kind of richness never fades.